Welcome to Tig's Bits. This is the Thanksgiving episode. Look, Thanksgiving is a time for family, friends, and food. It's a time to reflect on what we're thankful for. And for us, that is you. We are beyond thankful for each and every one of you that have listened, watched, or interacted with the show over the past couple of years. Without you, there is no show. And look, since it's Thanksgiving, we're going to be talking about our favorite foods, traditions, share a couple of stories, and have a good time. Boys, it is good to have you both on for this one. And let me start by saying how thankful I am to have both of you co-hosting this show with me. 2023 has been beyond a fun year. We have so many things to be thankful for just on this show and just us, period. And look, all of the new fans of the show and the amazing guests that we've had. And look, it's just going to keep getting better in 2024. But I am so thankful to have both of you guys as well, man.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I feel the same way, brother. Glad to have you as a podcast co-host along with Blossy the One Man Posse, and also to have a fine editor and executive producer like Lacey and I were talking off air.
Absolutely.
Couldn't do this show without you, buddy. Thank you for taking us along on the ride, no doubt. And like you said, thankful for everybody out there that listens and interacts with the show, and hope we can give somebody at least a couple minutes of entertainment or null space in their life for a day here and there. So thank you all for sure.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, 2023 has been a really good year. It's been a good year for the show. It's been a good year for everybody. I feel like, we came off the COVID thing, and I know that's been over for a minute, but man, it feels to me like the first year, like a full run year. You know what I mean? Like everybody, everything's wide open, even though we're dealing with, hey, we've got problems and there's issues and there's this and there's that. At the end of the day, I just feel like this year's been a full run year. Everything's wide open. There's no, excuses really for anything. You just kind of have to get up and keep rolling. So, dude, I'm super thankful for, for you guys. I mean, for our audience listeners out there who have watched us and who follow us and who, comment on stuff and give us a reason to come back and record this show again. So just can't wait to do this in 2024 and, looking forward to everything, man. So, yeah, very, very, very thankful. Thankful for Bubba the Love Sponge for helping put us on the map early on, too. I can't leave him out, man. That was true.
No, we can't leave Bubba out. No, the Bubba Army to loyal followers of the show. Some would say to a fault. I do not. I disagree. I'm so happy that the Bubba Army is in our corner for sure, man. And a good wrestling community as well, with DDP coming on and some of those videos like the Iron Sheik videos really done well on YouTube, and it's brought a lot of people over to watching us as well, man. But look, this episode, as we've talked about, is about Thanksgiving. And I did a little research and a little prep. We kind of talked off air of what we were thinking about. And of course, we're going to have to talk about foods and favorite dishes and blah, blah, blah. We have to do that because it's just what you got to do. It's Thanksgiving, man. And I'm kind of getting ready to eat. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to it. But I thought I asked, as you all know, we like to talk about artificial intelligence, AI, Chat GPT, things like that. So you know what? I was like, let me ask Chat GPT a few things as I'm doing a little bit of research. And if y'all will humor me for a minute, I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs that I came up with. And these come directly through Chat GPT from the History Channel. But I asked a couple of questions like, when was the first Thanksgiving? Now, we all know what we were taught, and sometimes I don't know if I do remember everything that I was taught because as I asked my son coming home from school today, he's in the 5th grade, I said, what do you think about Thanksgiving? What do you know about the first Thanksgiving, or how did Thanksgiving start? And what he told me was pretty much in line with what I'm about to read, but there's some little Tig's bits, if you will, in this that kind of blew my mind. So I'm going to jump into it. When was the first Thanksgiving? In November of 1621, after the Pilgrims' first corn harvest proved successful, Governor William Bradford organized a celebratory feast and invited a group of the fledgling colony's Native American allies, now remembered as America's first Thanksgiving. So we're going all the way back to 1621. No record exists of the first Thanksgiving's exact menu. Much of what we know about what happened at the first Thanksgiving comes from this chronicler, Edward Winslow, who wrote, historians have suggested that many of the dishes were likely prepared using traditional Native American spices and cooking methods. Because the Pilgrims had no oven and the Mayflower's sugar supply had dwindled by the fall of 1621, the meal did not feature pies, cakes, or other desserts, which have become kind of a hallmark of contemporary celebrations. So before I go in any further into that, do you guys have any thoughts? Because I challenged my son earlier today about just that part. And what he's learned was pretty similar to that. But, you know, in that first paragraph there that we're talking about, there's no turkey, there's no stuffing that we know of. It's traditional things. So thoughts?
Yeah, you'd have to think, you know, when you think about that time period, the first thing you mentioned is the fledgling colonies. We're not talking about successful cities at this point. We're talking about, you know, wooden outposts, these low-lying coastal areas on the East Coast, and this time of the year, because it was this time of the year, right?
Yeah, it was. And in fact, that's a good point. Let me just keep going because it goes into kind of how that happened.
Yeah, but I would have to think, because even the turkey thing, I'm sure there are wild turkeys there, but man, that's a tough game to get. But I would think, probably deer and a lot of probably things we don't even eat now, like different berries and grass, different stuff probably. But interesting, nonetheless.
Yeah, it is.
Because I didn't know the time. The time 1623. I guess I was thinking it was later than that. That's earlier than I thought it was, I guess.
Yeah, that's where it, originates from, which is crazy, that's where it would start.
I'm sure you had some wild game in there, right? You had some deer.
Oh, definitely deer.
Rabbits,
that's what
deer.
I would think, deer, rabbit, squirrels.
Yeah.
Probably some birds they trapped and stuff.
Just think if we could have gone back to that time period with what all they had and brought all Breggy Bomb sauces and seasonings to that and just turn that thing out, man. Those guys would have gone nuts.
Just blow their mind.
Wow.
Let me slow smoke this cow for you. This is the brisket. You don't think it's
Probably
any good, but watch this, son of a bitch. I'm about to show you something.
No, it would have killed them all. The weird stuff that we use that's in modern food would probably all croak by the next day.
Oh, we absolutely killed them. Their guts. Can you imagine?
Some weird
stuff that wasn't even around. They
have.
definitely couldn't have handled it.
No way. But that's an interesting thing.
Witch out of here.
Ovens. When it comes to cooking, so we're assuming they're probably just cooking over open wood pits or pits they've made in the ground, or open wood fires over like campfires, or they've made pits using coals, hog in the ground.
I'm surprised they didn't have an oven then. Ovens were around in 1623, for God's sakes. They had clay.
You'd think at least some kind of a brick or clay oven of some sort, or even, I guess, iron wasn't a thing then. It may be in the so again, we're talking about the colonies. This is like camping on an island for
true,
a million miles from home for most of these people, except for the natives.
Y'all ever been there?
Yeah, I've actually been to Plymouth Rock. I ate oysters at this little restaurant looking at Plymouth Rock. Really? I could see it. And the best oysters I've ever had in my life, what is that bay that's right there? They actually were harvested from that absolutely deep, cold water.
Really?
Unbelievable. Like, just so clean, so perfect. It was so good. And you're sitting there looking at Plymouth Rock.
That's where it all begins.
It's kind of special.
That's where it all begins.
Yeah.
So
no, I've been all over that, but I have not been to exactly there. It's a good call, though. I need to make sure to check that out next time in that area.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love this. What's next, Tig?
Yeah. So moving on. There's not a lot more to go. So during the American Revolution, the Continental Congress designated one or more days of Thanksgiving a year And in 1789, George Washington issued the first Thanksgiving proclamation by the national government of the United States. In it, he called upon Americans to express their gratitude for the happy conclusion to the country's War of Independence and the successful ratification of the U.S. Constitution. His successors, John Adams and James Madison, also designated days of thanks during their presidencies. Which, okay, so now this is starting to become a tradition.
There is a pattern deal developing here. We have a pattern.
The pattern is definitely developing.
Yeah.
In 1817, New York became the first of several states to officially adopt an annual Thanksgiving holiday. Each celebrated it on a different day, however, and the American South remained largely unfamiliar with the tradition. That's up until 1827, and the noted magazine editor and prolific writer Sarah Josepha Hale, I guess that's how you pronounce her name, we'll call her Sarah Hale, author, among countless other things, of the nursery rhyme Mary Had a Little Lamb. She launched a campaign to establish Thanksgiving as a national holiday, and for 36 years she published numerous editorials and sent scores of letters to governors, senators, presidents, and other politicians, earning her the nickname of the Mother of Thanksgiving. Wow. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln finally heeded her request at the height of the Civil War in a proclamation entreating all Americans to ask God to commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers in the lamentable civil strife, and to heal the wounds of the nation. He scheduled Thanksgiving for the final Thursday in November, and it was celebrated on that day every year until 1939. And then in 1939, Franklin D. Roosevelt moved the holiday up a week in an attempt to spur retail sales during the Great during the Great Depression. Roosevelt's plan, I had no idea about that. Roosevelt's plan, known as Franksgiving, was met with passionate opposition. And in 1941, the president reluctantly signed a bill making Thanksgiving the fourth Thursday in November. And that, folks, is how we got to this wonderful holiday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. ChatGPT.
That is so good. Oh, that's all from ChatGPT, huh?
All of that is straight from ChatGPT. It sorts multiple sites. A lot of that came from the History Channel. An article in the History Channel, but it's accurate.
That's crazy.
You know, I fact checked it too. It's like, okay, yeah, the thing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I had no idea about that. You know,
yeah. And then my grandmother's maiden name was Hale, and that's my son's name is Hale, and so that's right. That's kind of cool. Yeah. So we're probably more than likely responsible for Thanksgiving somewhere in my family.
I mean, that's the way I would take
it. Basically, Blasi created Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm
saying. Not a surprise.
He likes turkey, because he likes to stay in shape, so that's why he said, "Hey, we're having turkey."
And I like naps, so.
Yeah. What is that?
So turkey. That's so good, man.
What's
that? I can't remember it.
I used to have a bus driver that used to always give me shit because when I'd give him turkey sandwiches for the after show food, I can't eat that. Don't you know it's got that tryptophan in it? It makes you sleepy when driving. I'm like, good Lord. All right, sorry.
Apologize. I tried to feed you there. I'm so sorry.
So I'm gonna get you a double meatball because that's gonna keep you awake so much more than that little turkey sandwich. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, but isn't that crazy?
That's insane, dude. That's awesome though. I've never heard that.
No, me either. But it hit the damn wall just as we expounded on in last week's episode. The elephant in the room. It hits the wall when it hits retail. Right. They tried to turn it into something that it wasn't. It was a great deal of where everybody just bonded, came together as a family. Here we are lobbying or me anyhow, lobbying to change the colors, which I do still think should happen. But, I don't think this should be celebrated in a retail way. This whole take, after reading this, I stand corrected. I withdraw my take from last week. I no longer agree with myself. We can't do that.
Don't turn Thanksgiving out. Let's keep Thanksgiving.
Let's keep Thanksgiving. Let's keep it with friends, family,
make Thanksgiving
loved
Thanksgiving again. Yeah, let's keep it there.
I think the neat thing, one of the neat things I took away was that 200 years after they first had it, before it was really nationally recognized in 1827, over 200 years later, before it was really kind of, first it was just New York, and then. So I thought that was interesting. So I guess that says anything. If you like an idea or something, stick with it. 200 years later, it might come to fruition. You never know. Stick with it.
I mean, you got to give her some credit for fighting that fight to make it basically a national holiday for 36 or 37 years. That's
well,
insane.
Then it took from 1827 to 1863 for it actually even went through. So there's another 50 years.
And they decide right in the middle of the damn Civil War.
So after
it makes
200
sense.
years,
it makes sense. Like maybe we can just put down the guns for a day. I don't think that's what happened during that, but maybe that was the thought process.
Maybe so.
We got to start to heal.
Maybe so.
It would make sense.
Maybe by that same thought process, the first weekend in March is what it used to be. Was the Op Rattlesnake Rodeo? There's a good chance we could become like a national.
That's what I'm saying.
Thing.
Yeah,
it's like just
years from now,
the Rattlesnake Rodeo, and everybody in the country gets rattlesnakes and fries them up and eats them and has bands to play, and they
gets a new belt,
and they do a grease pole climb contest and a buck dancing contest, and it's just a national thing. Yeah.
Yep. See, that'll happen.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, I want to play a little game with y'all.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to name a few things around Thanksgiving. And it might or might not be even associated with Thanksgiving. With some it may, and some, like, no, that doesn't belong there. Or it is, but that's awful. Or that is absolutely great. So I'm gonna get y'all to say yay or nay, and tell me why. If it's a no,
tell
or if
me
it's a
why.
Yes. That's awesome. Here we go. First thing up on the board is. Associated with Thanksgiving is cranberry sauce. Yay or nay, Brantley?
100% yay. This isn't a hesitation for me. There's only one kind of damn cranberry sauce that you can have.
Oh.
It's the gel sauce that comes in a can. Don't give me that bullshit with the little berries and the homemade ass cranberry sauce. It's too tart. I don't care what you say. It looks good. It's pretty. Blah, blah, blah. I want the shit that's in a can that costs $1.89 and give me a bunch of it.
Okay. All right.
I agree. I'm in concurrence with Tiggs on this one. I love cranberry sauce. I used to not as a kid. I don't know. I probably was a teenager in college before I ever started even trying to eat it, because I used to think, why am I going to eat that round thing out of the can on my dressing or whatever?
Jelly.
And but different from Tiggs, I like both. I can go from the dollar can or the fancy somebody schmancy at some wherever.
Yeah, he's got somebody to protect. That's what he's
good.
He can't go either way. Hear this.
Yeah, like Dusty Rhodes said, I've dined with kings and queens, and I've dined in back alley on pork and beans, baby.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good, man.
Well, what about you, Blasey?
Yeah, you a cranberry guy, Blasey?
So I'm going to say my answer, and then I'm going to go to the next one, and this is going to answer why. Tell me why. Okay. So, no, absolutely not. And here's why. Next one up is, and then this may be even controversy too, is it giblet gravy or giblet gravy? What do y'all call it?
I call it giblet gravy.
Giblet gravy. Okay, so giblet gravy, yay or nay?
Hell no. I mean, what the hell is in that shit? That's my question. Is no. I've tried it. I've tried
whatever my grandmother thought. Whatever my grandmother saw to throw in there. So you're no giblet gravy.
I am a huge no. I love gravy, but I do not love giblet or giblet gravy.
Okay.
It can giblet ass on out of my face. Yeah, I hate it.
I don't know this to be 100% fact, but I'm thinking it's because it's the giblets that you're using to create the gravy. But like us Southerners, we have to throw our own twang on everything. We call it giblet gravy.
Yeah.
Giblet, giblet.
Giblet.
We're real giblet over there.
Reminds me of old Bill Niblet. They used to run the library. Bill Niblet, Giblet. Yep.
Yeah, I know it. So, but yes, I'm all about it. And I think it's just some of the gravy pieces from the turkey and stuff that grandmother used. I know it's got a boiled eggs in it, and
yep.
I don't know, but I know when my grandmother's cornbread dressing and you pour that stuff on top of it, that's my number one favorite thing at Thanksgiving.
Right,
I can just do that.
Oh my!
And that's why it exists. And some people love it.
And then a scoop of the cranberry on the side. So every now and then, just a twang, sweet and twang it up every third or fourth bite. Oh yeah,
I get it.
I'm gonna try it again, JR. I'm against it,
and I'll tell you,
I'm not against trying it again. So
you should.
It's got to be good. It's like anything. It's got to be
done
good.
right.
I like
my done right.
I've told the story about going to the casino in Biloxi or somewhere and getting Brussels sprouts one time. I just saw them, threw them on my plate, threw one in my mouth, realized there's a difference in my grandmother's Brussels sprouts and Brussels sprouts from the casino at Tunica or whatever. So,
way big of a difference.
Same thing with giblet gravy. I'm sure some's probably not worth a lick, but I bet if your mother-in-law, your grandmother, somebody's auntie or somebody like that, or some lady at the meeting 3 in your neighborhood, I bet that's what you need right there.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely it is. And I'll tell you that answers that first question, because I'll say this. I mean, I know everybody's mom or grandmother, somebody that cooks really good stuff, but I will put my mother's dressing up against any dressing on this planet, along with her giblet gravy.
Okay.
And dude, if you put those two things I will flip this table over. You know what I mean? Like, you put those two things together. Cranberry, I'm just ruining it at that point. It is just absolutely magic, dude. Like, that is my favorite part of Thanksgiving, hands down. Period. Turkey, all that stuff, it becomes secondary. I'll have like a plate, and like more than half of it will be dressing with that gravy on top. Oh my God. So
I like the thought of it. The dressing part, 1,000,000%. My mom's dressing also will put it up against anybody's in the world. In fact, we haven't been able to do it. We were going to this year. We were going to record. I was going to record a whole, not an episode, but more so for myself. I have a recipe. I helped her for years. I know how to do it, but she takes cornbread from ground, not just cornmeal that you get, like it's ground at a place that we get it coarsely ground, and make ponds and ponds of cornbread, and just the whole, it's a process, man, to make dressing. And I've had lots of people's dressing. I would love sampling dressings. Like, I would love to have your mom's dressing. I would eat it with the giblet gravy to give it a complete fair shot, because I would eat a lot of it. So yeah, dressing, I think we can all agree, it seems as if like that's the number one thing that you have to have. To me, more so than a turkey or a ham, and we'll get into that.
I just about agree
with that. More so than
that.
anything, I got to have dressing. Dressing is Thanksgiving to me.
Yep. I get the bird. So speaking of birds, do y'all like, all right, so I know like there was a big giant trend with a fried turkey breast or all this. And then now I feel like it's kind of leveled off. And what do you prefer? Is it fried turkey? Do you want a smoked turkey, or do you put the turkey in the oven, or is it turkey breast? Like, if you're doing it, what's your deal?
Man, I used to, at one point in time, I fried so many turkeys. I did it on the side. I'd fry 25, 30 turkeys.
Good Lord.
In a season starting for a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and, people would reheat them and whatnot. And I burned myself out of it, basically, of like, I don't want any more fried turkey. It's so good. I love it. If somebody else is doing it, then I'm all about it. But what I do these days with, I have a Rectech pellet grill, have that pellet smoker. I smoke it. I'll spatchcock that turkey just like I do a whole chicken. And, I can cook a turkey in less than a couple hours, and rock and roll. And it's as good as you you ever had. You know, I don't,
Right.
and I can smoke it too. I've smoked it, but I don't like the skin to get too rubbery. So I cook a turkey now, hot and fast, and rock and roll. Slice that sucker
Crisp
up
that
hot
bad
and
boy
juicy,
up.
and let's
Yeah.
roll. I'll brine it.
What temperature do you cook your turkey at?
I'll cook it at 350,
Gotcha.
and then and I have I'm checking it with a temperature probe. I usually have one stuck into the breast. I can look at it digitally and see what the temperature is. But whenever it gets to about 155, 160 internal temperature, I'll crank my pit up to 375, 400 to try to crispen that skin. So, and you can do that the reverse way too. You can smoke it for an hour for a little bit if you're smoking on a pellet grill, and then crank the heat up. If you're cooking it on charcoal and things like that, I can't help you as much. I've not done that. I haven't attempted it with a turkey, but that's that. It's easier. It's super easy. I'll just brine it the night before. Look, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of times I don't even brine them. I just get the turkey and I cook it like a chicken, dude. I put the same stuff
if I was
that I
gonna
put
cook
on a
Traeger,
chicken
that's
and
what I would
just
do.
spatchcock it, and I cook it then and there just like I would a whole chicken.
Yeah.
I don't brine it, and it's fine. That's what's
Yeah, it
so
is.
awesome about pellet grills.
I've never been the one in charge of the feast for Thanksgiving, so I've never smoked or cooked a turkey really on for that.
But this
I
year
don't
you
think
are,
I-
aren't you?
No, we're going to have everybody here. I don't know exactly what we're going to cook. I know, and see, that's the other thing. We want to have turkey, but my mom likes ham, so we're going to get a spiral
Yep.
ham either way. But I think I may even do like some turkey tenderloins or something on the Traeger or something like that instead. Do something random like that instead of a whole bird.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on getting just like turkey breasts.
Dude, turkey breasts are the way to go.
Breast.
Turkey breasts are so
Yeah,
good.
just get a turkey breast and put
Yeah.
that sucker on that pellet grill and call
Money.
it a day, bro.
That's
Bam.
probably
I
what
mean,
I'll do.
You can inject that sucker or whatever you want to, whatever you're going to do to it.
Yeah, that's probably what I end up doing, something like that. And traditionally, because we've always done it at my grandmother's. Normally, I've done it at my mother-in-law's and sister-in-law's last couple years since I've been married a few times, or since Teresa and I've been together. But all my life, we went to my grandmother's in Mississippi, and we never lived in the same town with my grandparents. We lived in Alabama, and they lived in Mississippi. So we would load up whenever we could and go over there. And my grandmother handled all that up until a handful of years ago. Since then, we've been to my brother's, I think, and we've done some different kind of hybrid. We've been to her house once or twice, and Mom and my aunt cooked most of the stuff. And we've even went out to eat, on Thanksgiving here in the last couple of years since, life's changed and my granddad's not around and my brother's down there and I'm here. And so it's going to be different for us, but we're going to piece together something. But traditionally at my grandmother's, our staples were the turkey and dressing with the giblet gravy. Usually like green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole. I always like peas. What else would we have? Maybe
Mashed
some
potatoes.
other form.
like those cream 40s or something of them sedandi peas.
Just like English
field
peas stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
like good
Yeah.
old field peas, purple holes.
We would do
nothing wrong with
English
purple
peas, and we'd
whole
have purple whole peas. But see, it was like my grandmother's was like Thanksgiving every time we ate, though. You know what I mean? It was like every time we ate.
So you're
was
just
fresh
adding a
corn.
turkey kind of to the mix.
That's basically it.
and some
Because
ham.
when we would eat a normal,
pretty
a normal
much,
meal
yes.
would be some kick-ass black-eyed peas, some
Yep.
some corn, fresh shucked cream corn she
Hell
made,
yeah.
and some
Oh
this.
my
and,
gosh!
Yeah, just the kill. Like you were saying, hard things to make. My wife even asked me what my favorite meal of my grandmother ever made was, because she was going to ask her to teach her. And I was like, well, my favorite's probably the hardest one, but it was her chicken and dumplings, because she would hand roll out with the flour, with the rolling pin, and make homemade dumplings. When I was younger, she would go down and kill a hen. She would get a hen from the neighbor, kill the hen that morning. So it's literally freshly
Oh wow.
killed hen to make all the different stuff you needed to make the
Wow.
Man, I bet that was good.
It was amazing. It was sick.
I miss my mama, man. I miss my grandma's cooking. She is so good.
Me too, dude.
Lost art.
Yeah, she doesn't even really want to do it. Her hands, she's old. I get it. I don't really want her to. I wish, but I wish we were better at some of those traditions. But it's just. God. The time and patience and attitude those people had, and even the generation between our parents and them, and now us, and then the ones after us, like y'all's children and stuff. It's really nothing we could have done. I don't think it's just part of it. I mean, there's few small closed sectors of places that stick to the older ways longer and more traditionally than other areas, but for the most part, I doubt many places do. Unfortunately, we should, because I've got we're gonna cook green beans because we all love green beans, but I've got jars of green beans that my grandmother canned in 2014. I'm gonna pull out and eat. We're gonna eat those this year.
That's
good. And I've got strawberry fig preserves that she made in 18 that I've got a thing of. I've got some zucchini relish. Some different things that I've canned, but that's her canned stuff. My mother doesn't can. We don't can.
Yeah, and you ain't canning.
So what time are we eating again, JR? Right. I didn't get that time when I'm supposed to be there. So I may have to
going to Sam's tomorrow. So I'll text you guys a picture of what kind of meat we end up with. I know I'm getting a small ham because my mom likes ham.
Yeah,
and it's versatile. You can cut it up and do different sandwiches and
But look at those little turkey breasts, like he was talking about. They're so good. It's just it's perfect for you're not trying to get a crazy whole bird going here.
And there's there's not that many of us anyway. I mean, we're talking about 8 people maybe.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Man. Chunk a little brush dust on there, a little Breggy Bomb brush dust.
I'll probably get 2 and do one with the brush dust and one with one of those other. Seasons.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I don't think you can go wrong.
Well, I was going to say, and my family coming in from out of town, no matter what season is, and we kind of start our own traditions, Sharice, I'm sure, wants to either make a jambalaya or gumbo or something just to have. And everybody wants shrimp when they come here. So I'm thinking about doing some shrimp one day. It may not be for Thanksgiving, but it might be for Thanksgiving. I might actually just do a small thing of, barbecue shrimp or something for Thanksgiving.
There's no rule.
I love doing non-traditional stuff.
Not,
we've had a couple of Thanksgivings where, with the whole family wasn't able to get together, or it was just us, or whatever, due to other circumstances. And then we've this is a steak day. We're just going to have a steak, or we've done a jambalaya too. So I mean that's I don't do it. That's not traditional, but those are fun to do. And you live on the Gulf Coast. Why wouldn't you incorporate some shrimp into that? Have you ever had I'm sure Sharice has, and I'm sure you have going to Homa, but have you ever had a good oyster dressing? I've never had one.
No, and I see even on some of these Facebook groups I'm in, historic New Orleans and things like that, Louisiana or Mobile of the past, I see people post oyster dressing recipes, but I have not. I tell you one I did have, and I think it's a Christmas thing or a Thanksgiving thing. One is the redfish Couvillon with the red stuff in there with the fish. That soup.
My buddy Jason Bertrand can make a mean one with catfish, but he can put any fish in it. Good. That stuff's good.
I had a redfish one time a few years ago down there and thought, man, Sharice's not a big fan, I don't think, but I don't know if her cousin or somebody made it, but I was like, I could eat this every year. I see.
Yeah.
We're going to Homa for Christmas this year, so I'm excited about that because they, it's a different kind of food, but they get down everywhere we go. I have a stack of it.
You're gonna you're not gonna be hungry.
No, and the thing about for us back to Thanksgiving here is we're going to have everybody here for 4 nights. So it's not like we have everybody's coming over at lunch one day and everybody be gone that evening.
You can spread this out. Right. There's no rush here. There's no rush.
We got to have. We're going to have layers. We're going to have stuff, dips and grab food and extra stuff to heat up, and we're going to do grits and eggs and biscuits every morning. I'm just going
to get a tent on your fence line or your property, and I'm just going to be out there. I'm just going to wander in every once in a while. Yeah. Hey folks, we eating yet?
Should.
It's the time,
but we only have one stove, one microwave. We have a small kitchen, so it's going to take some strategizing.
Y'all get it done.
Y'all get it done. Yeah, you'll get it done. You'll get it done.
Hey, so what's y'all?
You were saying desserts, Blaze?
Yeah, I'm just curious, like dessert. So to me, I mean, there's so much food being slung around. Sometimes dessert, I'm not a big dessert guy to begin with, but like desserts, is there something like you just like, man, I cannot wait to have this for Thanksgiving, like as far as the dessert goes?
Pecan pie. Yeah, my grandmother's
we got to have a pecan pie. And I mean, I'm a big fan of a sweet potato pie and a pumpkin
pie.
Sweet
potato pie.
And I'll shut my mouth.
That was on my list too. Pumpkin pie, yes or no earlier, but yep.
Pumpkin pie, yes, but no one ever makes it at my house normally, so no. But sweet potato pie and pecan pie pretty regularly, and I used to love it with obviously ice cream and milk or anything, but now I can have it with or without. So good.
My wife makes an amazing sweet potato casserole.
Oh, yeah,
and that's just that's a staple and a tradition. Yeah. But I mean, it's basically the same thing to me as a sweet potato pie. It's just not in a pie filling. I mean, it's the filling that's in the pie.
That's what we have also, the sweet potato casserole. I guess I'm saying it's a pie, but the pecan pie is actually over there in the pie dish.
It is a pie. Yeah.
Yeah, that pecan pie is really at the top of the list of a pie side, but I'm a cake guy too.
Cakes.
I'll add this to that list. My grandmother, and she does this sometimes at Thanksgiving. Well, she's passed on now, but she would do this at Thanksgiving, but always at Christmas. Was she would make a coconut cake, and it wasn't like a coconut cake that most people have ever eaten. Like she would take coconut and fresh grind the coconut. I mean, she would work that coconut for hours, and I'd go there. I got where I would help her because I want this coconut cake, and she was getting older, and I was like, hey, we're going to do this coconut cake this year. Like, when do I need to be there? Let me help out. Show me how to do this. And we would sit there and grate that coconut. Oh my gosh. And I always tell people, I'm like, man, a fresh grated coconut cake to me is like, it's so different than like store-bought, like a canned coconut or something like that. It almost tastes like a vanilla cake. You know what I mean? It's like fresh pineapple versus, something out of a can. It's like so good. Oh my gosh. That was my favorite thing. Every year I'd get her to make coconut cakes. It's like, please bring, and I'm not even a dessert person, but that was so good. But that pecan pie, 1 and 2, coconut cake, pecan pie for me,
Yeah, and we're not big sweet people normally either. Wasn't a big thing really for us either, but it was enough. And then there'd always be, by this time of the year, there'd always be a tin of cookies or something, or somebody brought some leftover Halloween cookies, and or like Petitfours or Ladyfingers or some kind of little
divinity
little
and a little peanut brittle.
What about we've covered main courses, side dishes, desserts. What about beverages?
There we go. Eggnog. How about that action?
Love it. Love eggnog.
Love some eggnog. And that's more of a Christmas thing, but I like to get into it early,
I get into it early as well. I like it right about this time, and I'll make it real thin sometimes and real thick sometimes. I'll add my own cinnamon to it. I like the pre-made ones. I like to make
my own. Put a little nutmeg in there.
Yeah, all that stuff. But what about and that can be considered an alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage depending on what you put in it. And families are different. We've talked about this amongst other friends, but I don't know if we have on this podcast. Some families drink with each other. Some people, there is no drinking at Nanny's house, which was that way for us. Usually we slipped. My grandparents didn't drink
at mine. No. No, it was straight laced. No drinking. No.
See, and in Louisiana, you could get either way. You could get, anywhere. You could get.
But I grew up in the dividing line that most people. I live in South Louisiana now and have for a majority of my life. But I grew up in North Louisiana, Northwest Louisiana, right on the Texas. Louisiana border, but if it's north of I-10, that they consider that North Louisiana or north of Alexandria,
right?
That's and we were right on that Alexandria line. So a lot of Baptists, Southern Baptists, in the parish I grew up in, and so we did not get into it. Now we've had some Friendsgivings. Like in Florida, in Hammock Bay, and at other times that have been a little looser than the traditional
But as far as
family
families, though, at the actual
um,
family, no one's drinking beer at lunch.
No,
it's
and mine's the same
gonna
way.
have tea. We're normally gonna have tea.
It's tea and
sweet or
soft drinks,
unsweet,
but
soft
mainly
drinks,
tea.
Water. Somebody
Yes.
says, "I just need a water. I'm so parched." And then maybe
Now it's typical. Now I was usually the guy, like, you know, as I got older, especially, you know, got of age, you know, it's like, well, I mean, I feel like it's, you know, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I've just eaten a fine meal. This was phenomenal. I appreciate everything y'all brought to the table here. God love you. Like, I'd like to hang out with some more. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to take some of this bourbon with this eggnog, and we're going to enjoy ourselves a little bit more.
That's kind of that's the next question I was going to say. Since none of us really grew up with that in our house. Now, at my other grandparents, yes, some, but it was different. They were kind of, you know, it was just different. It wasn't raising hell, drinking beer, you know, watching the ball game. It was they were having champagne or something. You know, everybody was dressed nice and sitting at the dinner table type deal. At my dad's parents in Tallahassee, they were Southern.
Were the cultured ones, sir.
Yeah, but as we've all, now that we're all adults, and I'm like you, Blasey, I've incorporated, if I want to have a beer or drink, my brother and I will have one, my mom, but we keep it out in the cooler, and we don't just flaunt it in front of my grandmother, and we try not to get tanked or whoop it up. But has that kind of is that everyone's stage now? Everyone's kind of incorporated. So if family comes over, they just have to be cool with it. We're all going to have a beer if we want one.
I don't act like a complete idiot or anything, but, like, you know, I'm going to have a few drinks. You know, like if I'm hosting Thanksgiving, like, yeah, this is my house. And everybody's fine. Like, it's totally fine. But it's not like I'm trying to, like you said,
one on.
No, I'm not, you know, getting crazy or anything. But, you know, and specifically, I like to have a little eggnog. I don't, you know, something for me.
I do too.
And I love that. I'll have one or two, and I'm kind of good. You know, I may have a beer if there's a ball game on or something, but I'm not going crazy. You know, so
I love just the flavor of that eggnog, and I like just sucking on a piece of ice in there just to keep that flavor in my mouth. I just love it. It's almost like king cake. There's a season for it. You know, I want my eggnog until about New Year's, and I'll stretch it. I've started early, and I've stretched it past Christmas, but you know, then at some point. And then at some point it's over, though, and it's like, dang.
My kids love eggnog, too, but without bourbon. Like, we keep eggnog, custard, I'll have so many varieties of things in that refrigerator from now until past New Year's, and they expect to see it there. They're like, where's the eggnog? Where's the custard?
I'm the same
What's
way.
going on around here?
And that's what I want. That's the flavor I want. That's the drink I want. And, you know, so I'm with it. It's making me thirsty now. I need to go start stocking up.
I do, too. I haven't bought any yet.
I have a friend of mine who makes Conquito. It's basically eggnog. It's a Cuban eggnog. And
nice.
Man, I do like to have. It's so rich, though. That's the thing. I'm not a huge eggnog person. I mean, I like it. It tastes good. I'm not against it, but it's just so thick. It's just a little too thick. I don't like the texture of it.
You just got to cut it with more bourbon.
Again, just like other things, like the giblet and giblet gravy, I'm willing to cut some eggnog with some bourbon.
That covers food and bev for our Thanksgiving Day festivities. Are there any movies or television or music that go along when you instantly think of Thanksgiving?
There's only one movie that is a Thanksgiving movie that's ever been made. There's only one.
Okay.
It's Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. I mean, that's the only movie.
That's a Thanksgiving.
There are no other movies besides Charlie Brown.
Okay, Charlie Brown.
That's
that's
a movie. That's not a cartoon. That's not a. I'm getting flustered. That's not. That's not a movie. It's a cartoon.
Tiggs is either upset that there is only one movie about Thanksgiving, or that there's not enough Thanksgiving movies to satisfy his urge. So I can't tell, but
I don't know either.
Can you think of any other movies though? Seriously, are there any other movies besides Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I didn't do a dive. I just thought of that to ask.
No, just the Dallas Cowboys playing football every year is all I can think of from television.
Used to like. It reminds me of watching. I always think of Detroit Lions.
Yeah, Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, it used to be a staple.
Barry Sanders played with him when I was a teenager.
God, he was so electric.
Man, he was so good to watch. And they would usually lose, but watching him play was he was crazy.
They may not lose this year. I'm not they play on Thanksgiving Day, but they have a damn good football team.
What about the parade? Do y'all watch the Macy's Thanksgiving
Used
parade?
To love
Are y'all parade
that.
people?
Yes. I love the parade. I love watching that. I love that there's something on television besides the normal daytime programming. It gives you something to keep. It's almost like there's new. It's not news, but there's just something new live on instead of a pre-recorded show. So I love that. Yes, I love the in between the parades, them talking about stuff. I think it's during Christmas, maybe Thanksgiving too. But I love when they play the dog, the dog competition, the canine competition.
Yes, love to watch
shows and stuff. I love those.
Oh yeah.
Some alternative sports stuff because they'll before the games come on, they'll throw some kind of NBC surfing, windsurfing kind of exclusive little Olympic spotlight or something cool. There'll be some cool little shows on that you won't normally see throughout the year.
X should sponsor the X Games moving forward.
Ooh,
why wouldn't they?
There you go.
I mean,
they kind of put themselves in that position.
Maybe that's why he totally changed the name.
Maybe
I'm
trying to go all video.
He's a Gen Xer, isn't he? I mean, I think he's just like we're a bunch of extras in the middle.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
What about Thanksgiving movie or Thanksgiving music? Is there any music you can think of?
I tried to think about that earlier today. I can't think of a single song that talks about Thanksgiving.
No. All I could think about is the Kiki Run.
Could be Cold November Rain.
That's the only music I know.
That's about it. That's about it. Yeah, I don't think.
I don't know.
I can call November Rain. I don't consider that a Thanksgiving song.
No, that's like November 18th. November 18th is Cold November Rain to me. It's right now. It is Cold November Rain.
It's right now.
Freezing
it's
outside.
what's happening outside. Yeah, it's a cold November
exactly.
rain. That's exactly what's happening. Good call on that.
That should be the name of this podcast, Thanksgiving, a Cold November Rain.